Table for two, please.
Hello and welcome to Table for Two. My name is Viveka.
And I'm Amy.
And this is our first actual episode of Table for Two.
We are so excited to begin this journey with you guys. It's been such a fun experience creating these episodes, and we're so glad to finally share them with the world. So for our first episode, we want to talk about virtual school, which is an experience that we know most people have gone through this past year and just wrapped up not too long ago. So we want to share our experiences of how virtual school affected our lives, and we hope you guys can relate to it.
So to give a little bit of background before we get into this episode, I was a junior last year and Amy was a freshman, and we're both in high school in the same school district. Both of us did fully online classes for the past school year, and we both mutually hate it. Mm-hmm. So that's where we stand.
Yeah, that's our perspective for this episode.
All right, so to begin, we are going to compare our first impression to our current impression of virtual school.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was my first year of high school. It was completely virtual. So I had some expectations from, coming of age movies, all those Disney Channel shows where it was like high school is such a dream, or high school is where all your dreams come true, basically. But from the beginning, there were scheduling issues, just overall everything was unorganized,
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty disappointed, but, I tried my best in the first semester, and I took a good amount of notes. Like, my Google Docs was full.
Thick one.
Yeah, my Google Docs was full of my notes. And I tried to engage in the class through Zoom chat and all, but that got me burnt out really, really quickly.
So, unlike Amy, it was my third year of high school, so, I was really chill about it. Even my freshman year, since I have an older sister, she kind of just explained how it works, and I was like, okay, that's chill, So, I still wanted to do my best because this was my junior year. Everyone calls it the big scary year. But by the end of it, I was so over it. I was exhausted and also very burnt out. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think this is a pretty common feeling among high school students and just college students in general. It's just that motivation and work ethic.
It's hard to come by.
Yeah, it's really hard for you to motivate yourself. So
yeah.
I don't blame us. And so something Amy and I both related to was that we felt really, really behind in compared to other classmates because we were surrounded by very smart people. I have a lot of friends that are smart.
My classmates are some of them have gotten big awards for academic wise, and I'm like, wow.
And because of this very smart atmosphere that we were in, it led to us being disappointed in ourselves and feeling very left behind, as we said before. Because we felt disappointed in ourselves and our ability to not make up for ourselves, I feel like that led to procrastination.
Yeah.
Because it just delayed those feelings of,
the product isn't good enough to compare with other people. Because if I don't do it, I can't compare anything. Because I didn't do it, you know? I just had zero motivation to do anything school related. When I was working through these assignments, it was just, I know it's not supposed to be fun, but, I should, not despise it so much, I feel like I shouldn't hate it, Every day was so repetitive, teachers, they put up, same variations of, Gimkit or Kahoot or something.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then, the teachers were tired, too, and it definitely showed through the curriculum. Especially towards the end of the year, late spring,
Yeah, and, because the teachers didn't put in that much effort either, I felt like I shouldn't either.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just turning BS assignments by the end of the year, and I put in very little effort into, participating in class. I would only do it if no one else did it, so.
Yeah.
And a very big feeling is how our backs
hurt.
Yes, it literally... The amount of back pain we experienced from our
chairs, sitting positions. Okay, well, it's not my fault that I slouch.
Irreversible damage.
It's
okay,
I
get
slouch. I sit like a shrimp. And my chair is all plastic, no cushions.
So, on top of our aching spines, academics was also a pain. especially with the workload and the pacing, on top of giving virtual students a lot more work than in-person students, the pacing was just so fast.
Yeah. Like, there were days where, Wi-Fi issues. Sometimes all the teachers would have to go home or leave the school because the Wi-Fi there wasn't working. And that just, wasted a lot of time. And we also had, weather issues that kept us out of school for, 2 weeks. And it was, 2 months before state testing and AP testing. So for the units during that time, we just couldn't do review for them, and we couldn't really go over them at all. We just had to move on, and so we missed a lot during that. Because 2 weeks is a really long time, school-wise.
I forgot almost everything.
So. I don't remember those weeks at all. I just played Minecraft.
I would go out every single day with my friends, and we would literally, we have a small little creek type thing. It's more like a sewer, but...
Mm-hmm.
And it was just full of snow, so we would literally jump in and we'd just fall in the snow. And because of this, AP testing literally came out of nowhere. State testing came out of nowhere. Personally, I didn't have to do state testing because I'm a junior. But
I had to. Yeah. It was not fun. Actually, it wasn't that bad because we just went in and then I sat there for an hour because I'm a fast test taker.
Nice.
Yeah. I feel like everybody this year, we learned for tests and not for retention.
For pre-cal, especially, I would learn each unit, and each unit kind of builds off of each other, so I would relearn the unit the day after the test so I could figure out what I was doing. I literally forgot after my test, and then I had to relearn it. It's fine, though. I'm fine.
Yeah. And the due dates were, so unreasonable for so many things.
Mm-hmm. They would give the assignment in one class period and then be like, it's due next period. Or it was it's due by the end of the day or by the end of the class period. And I was like, are you insane?
And, all of these things academically, part of something that stems off of that is cheating.
I BS'd a lot of my daily assignments that was just busy work because there was no point in them. They were just using it to keep me busy. So I was like, I'm not going to, what's the point?
It's not going in the grade book. So, a lot of things didn't go in the grade book. And they were like, you need to finish this today. And I'm like, and what for?
There was no point for, literally 70% of the things that they gave us. And I was like, okay.
I know it's for practice and stuff, but I didn't learn it. What am I supposed to practice if I didn't learn it?
But the only time I would actually kind of study for things was for quizzes or tests. So I wasn't completely lost. I remember... pre-cal, yet again, I wouldn't do anything until the day before my quiz or test, and I would relearn every single thing that I had to relearn.
And there were some teachers that I understand where they're coming from, but again, I don't. I had a teacher who'd accuse the entire class of cheating. Mm-hmm. It was a harder class, and when the class made above the quote-unquote average, I guess, basically anything above 80 as the class average, they'd give the whole class a lecture after the day of the test. And it's you're the teacher, you're supposed to teach us as much information as possible. A higher score is a good thing? Why do you want the class average to be so low? See, I understand, they don't want students to cheat, especially now it's easier to do so in a virtual setting. I'm not going to deny that, but just accusing your students of cheating because they got the class average is good.
And one thing that annoyed me a lot was that GPA and ranks were going to be affected because of cheating. Because students could have cheated and have gotten really good grades that they wouldn't have usually gotten if they went normal back in person. And that would just set them apart and that would make it more competitive. My grade is already super competitive for no reason. And they just made it even harder because people are going to use all sorts of resources. And that annoyed me.
There's two sides to it.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I did to make sure that teachers would never flag me for cheating was I researched how Canvas works and what it would flag and what it tracks and stuff so that I wouldn't be doing anything that would imply that I'm cheating.
Yeah. And it just made me paranoid because sometimes I'm taking a test and... I have a question asked, so I'll switch to my Zoom, and I'll be like, wait, Canvas is going to flag me as switching between tabs, and it'll flag me for cheating. And one thing I want to add to about, like, teachers accusing people of cheating is that I've had several teachers this year where, like, the first thing they write on the test is, like, do not cheat, and then a bunch of, blah, 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 and then it's like, if you cheat, we're going to report it, and you're to the TA, or not TA, we're going to report it to the assistant principal, whatever. It's like you're expecting me to cheat. It's just implying that, everybody's gonna cheat. I understand where that's coming from, but it's just so...
The intention behind it feels wrong, and it feels like you're doubting students, and you're just convinced that everyone is just cheating.
Yeah. It's understandable, but again, it's...
a two-way street. You can't really do that to either side. Personally, I feel like some teachers did really well with the curriculum and others not so much, and honestly, this is just personal preference for each student. I really enjoyed the way my statistics teacher taught, because he taught solely for the AP test, and I really, really appreciated that. Mm-hmm. And all of his curriculum, like, the way he taught was just perfect.
Yeah.
Shout out to my stats teacher. You're the best teacher I've ever had.
The teachers that were able to break that virtual boundary, they were absolutely the best teachers.
Yeah.
Like, shout out to my biology, my humanities teacher. They made the class so fun. Like, I genuinely enjoyed logging on to Zoom for that. Like, I hate Zoom. I hate Zoom classes, but, like, I was genuinely excited to go to those classes. But the thing is, a lot of teachers also tried to run the classes as if they were in-person classes. There's a disconnect in that because you can't run it the same way. There's, technological boundaries. It's a lot easier to gauge a lot of things about your audience, and you can't really do that through technology, Yeah, it just kind of, them trying to teach the class as if we were sitting at desks in the classroom, it just made it so much harder for us to absorb information, learn information. Student-wise, academic-wise, study skills went out of the window.
Yeah, I could not study at all. I just crammed.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid. And I'm really proud of the students who did actually study and work really hard and maintain a constant level of work ethic. Go you guys.
Yeah. All right, please give me your motivation.
Please. But another big thing was there was no student-to-student connection either. I felt really disconnected with my class as a whole. And because I missed those class events or the pep rallies or whatever, and I felt very left out about what was happening because a majority of my friend group went back in person at a certain point of the year. So they would always be talking about these things or like how they went out to go someplace. And I was like, well, wasn't there, but it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's fine now. I'm going back next year because I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. I was in orchestra and I missed out on the group / community sort of experience because fine arts and especially orchestra, I guess from my experience, a good part of that is like bonding with the other students there and just creating a great friendship between a bunch of people. But since I wasn't in person and I could only see the other people in my orchestra for like concerts or if we had to go into school, then I really missed out on the chance to make new friends. And the ones I did make, I wasn't able to connect with them as much as I would have liked.
To kind of go off how we felt disconnected, let's talk about our social life because that took a really big hit with COVID and virtual school. So personally, for me, my social life became pretty bad because some drama happened in my freshman year of high school and I was finally getting back on track. Like halfway through my sophomore year, I was talking to a lot of people and I also rely a lot on in-person interactions because I'm not a big texter and neither are my friends. So I was really getting there and then COVID. Mm-hmm. I really tried my best to keep in contact with all of these friends, but most of them went back in person and just we had our different things that we had to do. So we just kind of grew apart a little bit and we only had those rare group meetings that I really, really enjoyed. And those rare hangouts were also somewhat awkward because like people would split off into the little groups just so because they relate to whatever stuff better. Mm-hmm. But as a result, I kind of became a better texter. If you intrigue me enough, I will text you well.
I would say mine got worse because I genuinely don't feel like it got bad. I guess I self-reflected a lot about how I interacted with people, my social tendencies and all that. So I guess my social life got a little bit better because I became more aware. Being home alone and just only having to like speak with people I wanted to, because it's not like I'm gonna bump into them or anything like you would at school. I was fine. It was okay. I texted a lot less people though, but I see this sort of as a good thing because I used to drop everything to just talk to people. I probably was really annoying. I was able to figure out who I liked talking to, and I talked to people that I enjoyed talking with. I also had really nice interactions with people in my classes, and again, I wish I could have been better friends with them, but it's not possible. It wasn't possible in that situation. And I also didn't hang out in person with people at all this entire year, unless you count at like orchestra concerts where, I got to say hi to a lot of people I only saw on Zoom and stuff. But it just makes me look forward until, next semester when we're all back in person and we can talk to each other again.
Before we get into this next section, which we're going to be talking about our mental state and mental health, we want to put out a disclaimer. We do mention somewhat depressing things, and we are not qualified in talking about mental health professionally.
If you have any questions or whatever, please do your research from reliable sources or see, somebody licensed. So these are just our personal feelings. We're not experts in this.
So don't take it from us, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, Amy, how did you feel?
The entirety of this year, my head just feels empty. It's like, ice packs. Some ice packs, they have that water sort of gel in them.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like my head was full of that. Like, everything was fuzzy. It was just like, it was full, but it's like there's no substance in it, I can't fit anything else into my brain, but it's like, there's nothing in here. Hello?
I am not a very big feelings person. I'm not very in tune with my mental well-being just because I've neglected it a lot and I just run away. I don't run away. I ignore.
Procrastinate.
Yeah. So basically my mental state was pretty much non-existent. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we both mutually felt really, really burnt out.
And honestly, anybody during this time probably felt so burnt out. And
yeah,
we both felt super tired and exhausted every single time we opened an assignment or just had another project assigned.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned before, I procrastinated as a result because I wanted to put that assignment off. And that didn't really help because I developed a pretty bad sleeping schedule, even though it honestly wasn't that bad, but I lost like an hour off of the 9 hours I used to usually sleep, which had a really big impact on me. I was like not functioning.
It's like our sleep schedules, they were there, but it was terrible. Like it was consistent. It was terrible. Like I slept really, really late, and then I woke up like 10 minutes before class started, and I just logged on to Zoom, which isn't good because like I'm not fully awake yet. But it's like I can't wake up any earlier because I'm so tired and I'm so drained, and I just don't want to get out of bed.
And especially after I got my dog right after Thanksgiving break, and I had to wake up at 7:30 initially to go take my dog out to the bathroom because we don't have a doggy door. But eventually I would just keep moving it up till now I would have woke up at like 8:45 to go take my dog out and then go to class right after. So it was just a result of just like not sleeping right.
And I think we both, experienced these sort of like non-existent or like flat, numb feelings, I kind of became a little bit apathetic and sort of had a mindset of like, I don't care. Whatever happens, happens, Which, yeah, it's like, it's not bad because I can focus more on things that, pertain to me and put my energy into things I'm passionate about rather than being hung up on little things. But it also made me uninterested in things that I liked and I wanted to be passionate about. And it's like, I'm in the passenger seat, not really, taking the reins or like actually controlling my life. It's like I'm just doing whatever happens because I'm too tired to take care of it right now,
I had the toxic mindset of everything I need to get done will get done. That just led to me procrastinating for days for big projects or for like hours. Like my school would usually get off at 2:50 because I have double early release. And I would procrastinate till 8 o'clock. I would just be like on YouTube or like reading a comic or something. And even then I'd be like, oh, it's 8:02. I can't do it now. I have to wait till 9 o'clock. I would do that. I would make so many excuses for myself. And that resulted in me like not being able to complete certain assignments on time or not be able to study for tests confidently. I would skip a lot of school as a result. And I became a truant. The day my dad saw that like letter, he flipped. And I was like, no, it's okay. Everyone gets it. He was so mad at me. He's like, bro, you're going to school every single day. And like...
Also, family-wise, I think we both had our...
We were over it.
Yeah. After being like stuck for like a whole year with our families and like barely, not really seeing as much of the outside world as we used to and just being stuck at home all day, it's like...
We were so done with each other.
Yeah.
And... pre-COVID, school was really a place that I could go to blow off steam or just like take a break from my family for a while. So I could just like relax and I could go home with like not feeling as mad or annoyed or fed up with like small things. But now that I'm like with them 24/7, I'm just like, stop. The way you're walking is annoying me. Stop walking.
Oh my gosh, like when
So
people
picky.
breathe, oh my gosh, people standing behind you when you're on the computer, people not knocking.
It's fine.
I just got annoyed with my family a lot over small things. We argued, and I can pinpoint to the issue as just lack of communication, miscommunication.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I think we'd bottle up a lot of our feelings, and we'd be like, oh, if I tell them about this, they're going to get mad about it. They're going to be upset about it. They're going to be mad at me. This is going to cause, like, you know, sort of a rift, temporary rift or something. But then it just ended up in, like, something happens and we actually, like, kind of need to have a discussion on it. Then you just kind of blow up and let it all out, you know? I feel like that's, like, the pattern.
Yeah, just small annoyances accumulate into family fights. And we just bring all sorts of things that weren't relevant or just, like, things that annoyed us, like, 3 weeks ago. We'd be like, I remember you did this. And it was just not fun. And I think this is a big thing with immigrant or first-gen families. It's just that we have, like, a small disconnect. Or a big one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depending on your family. And it's just, like, communication is so important. And that would be great without a disconnect. But it just has to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that just makes things a
Yeah,
lot
I think it's
more
just,
intense.
again, different expectations from different...
Either sides, growing up in different times, growing up in different places.
Yeah, growing up with different expectations from, you know, people around us.
Versus the people in your house. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's just a disconnect. And that's really what made it a lot worse than it could have been.
Yeah.
So to kind of explain why I feel numb, I'm just a very numb person in general. And I don't usually allow myself to feel negative emotions. Not anger. I feel a lot of anger all the time. But just like sadness, disappointment,
Frustration.
yeah,
these
those
things.
kind of things, like letting myself cry or letting myself like let go for a second. I just can't do that. And I used my numbness as a coping mechanism, but I like slowly crack. But I always slowly crack, and it leads to mental breakdowns. And throughout the virtual school experience, I had 1 or 2 mental breakdowns, and it wasn't necessarily your typical, like, crying, like, just, like, anger, letting it go, but it's just, like, me literally losing it. I would literally walk around mumbling to myself, and my mom would be staring at me from, like, the sofa, like, what is wrong with her? But I just want to cry one day and let every single thing out. And it happened. I don't remember why. But it happened, and it was so, like, relieving, and I wish that I could do that more. I just can't feel that emotion.
I've always been told that I'm a very independent person and self-motivated, which is nice, I guess. I just don't feel that way. It also leads to me second-guessing myself a lot because I'm unwilling to reach out and ask for help because it's like, oh, then I'm not really independent, am I? I'm not really self-motivated.
And I feel this kind of stems from, like, expectations again. Like, you feel like you should be all of these things that other people tell you, even though you're, like, you're not obligated to stay or live up to someone else's expectation of you. So, to kind of move on to something that's not so personal for us, we're just going to talk about bad experiences, just very vaguely. that we know that most people had, which is Zoom and computer troubles, which were so annoying to deal with because I always felt the need to explain myself to my teacher, like, oh, my Wi-Fi cut out. Another thing was cheating accusations, like we explained in the beginning-ish parts of the episode. Class-wide consequences and lectures were so annoying because most of the times it didn't apply to us. And then difficult curriculum and curriculum that wasn't taught well was also not very appreciated.
Yeah. So those are just, like, some things that made the virtual school experience absolutely terrible.
To end this episode on a little bit more of a lighthearted note, we're going to just talk about our best experiences with the virtual experience.
Yeah, so teachers being engaging, again, it's one of the best parts of virtual schooling because it's like a human connection. Oh my gosh, I've seen another person. I can be happy for the rest of today. And one of my best experiences was being in a breakout room with my friends as we worked on a project towards the end of the school year. And we started talking about pineapple on pizza. And since this teacher was very cool, we pressed the ask for help button on Zoom, and she came into our breakout room to settle the debate, and it was just super funny.
And another good thing was this special class, the class that we enjoyed going to. And for me, I actually didn't have that many bad teachers. I really enjoyed my ISM class, which is kind of a special career-focused class. And I really liked my statistics class, which I said already. I also loved my history class because it was asynchronous all the time. And on top of just your normal, random, funny experience, someone being unmuted by accident was also...
It was funny when it's not you. Like, one time I was unmuted and, like, my mom and brother, I don't know what they were doing outside. I think they were, like, moving stuff. So it was just thump of boxes and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not unmuted. Because when you're in speaker view on Zoom, you know, you have the little tabs, thumbnails of people's videos on the side.
Yeah.
And I sometimes move it back and forth because I need to see what's on the screen. And so one time I clicked on my own photo, and guess what's at the top of my photo thumbnail, my video thumbnail? It's the unmute button.
Yay.
So I was unmuted for like a whole 5 minutes, and people could hear me mumbling to myself and just like breathing like, I was like, oh my gosh. It was like, but luckily somebody else was unmuted before me, and they actually like had a whole conversation, so it kind of took away from like me
heaving into your mic.
I'm not heaving into my mic. I'm just like, when somebody gives me an assignment I don't like, I'm just like, it's like, you know, or like sort of like somebody says something funny, I'm like, to myself. It's not even a genuine laugh. It's just like, it's not even it's just
I remember, it wasn't me, but my sister's, like, best friend was in one of my classes, in my ISM class, and she was full-on singing a song, and we were just all, like, muted and quiet, and she was just, like, jamming, and it was, I'm sorry, but it wasn't very good singing either, and everyone was just like, should we tell her? And then my sister came in, unmuted, and told her herself, and I was like, interesting. It's okay.
Oh
it was pretty funny. And one of the best feelings, I think, was being released early. That's just like a godly feeling.
It's like 10 minutes on Zoom. Oh my gosh, one of my teachers, it was their birthday that day. No, since it's my birthday, I'm gonna let you all go early. You don't have to do anything today. And we're like, yeah!
I remember my ISM teacher, yet again, he would make us join and then be like, I don't feel like it. Bye. End the call.
Like
he would shut down the call.
It's like cool college professor things.
He is. He's like a very chill, cool person.
Oh my gosh. Okay, a terrible experience I had on Zoom with my teachers. It was like, I think the teacher didn't have the Zoom volume up, or she just didn't have the volume of her computer up. And so she was just talking, and she kept talking, and a bunch of people were asking questions in the chat because it was like, this assignment is confusing. Like, what is this? Please go over this again. And she just kept talking, and we're unmuting to ask. Like, this is a very silent class, so, you know, when somebody presses the unmute button and uses their vocal cords, it's like, whoa.
You're such a bold
It's going
person.
down.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was like, it's going down, and the people were unmuting and we were asking. And at the end, I guess she heard us.
She
And
just
she was like,
ignored
why?
it.
Yeah, she was just like, why didn't you say anything? And we're like, do you see the chat? We all unmuted like 500 times. And it was just like, she just went over the whole thing again, and yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
It wasn't fun.
Also, just making friends was a big feat in virtual school. I made a few friends, actually. Shout out to my AP Lang group chat. You guys were really fun.
Yeah.
We even talked
Yeah.
crazy things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shout out to the viola section.
Shout out to my AP Bio group chat. We only texted if we had stuff that we needed to get done.
Shout out to my humanities class. The chat was so funny. In conclusion, virtual school was basically not fun for anybody. And most schools are moving back into in-person, including our district. So we're looking forward to a hopefully better school year.
Please continue to wear your mask, get vaccinated, and sanitize. We're still in this pandemic, and the more we work together, the faster we can get back to normal.
Alright, so this concludes our first episode of Table for Two. Thank you so much for listening to the first episode, and thank you guys so much for all of the support that you've shown us, and we hope you continue to enjoy this podcast in the future.
Come back next week for our second episode where we discuss our pet peeves and red flags, which is just going to be a fun little episode. But that's all we have today for you guys. My name is Viveka.
And I'm Amy.
And we're signing off.
Check this.
You can find our episode credits, contact/feedback forms, socials, and YouTube channel all at linktree.com/table-for-two-pod, which you can find in our episode and Spotify bio. See you next Wednesday with a brand new episode.